We could go into extraneous detail about why the Metroid series is one of the greatest in gaming history. It is one of the greatest gaming series ever made. But today, on Dear Diary, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and objectively break down my first hour or so that I spent with the game. And try and approach it from a modern standpoint. Because let's be real, the Castlevania slash Metroid style, it's become more popular now more than ever. With game series like Ori and even something like Hollow Knight or even Dead Cells, that style of gameplay has definitely risen to power in a variety of ways, in a variety of places and spaces. But it doesn't change the fact that Metroid and Castlevania kind of pioneered the genre to which we now know as Metroidvania. So when it was announced that literally one of the dons of the genre was coming out with a new game, aka Metroid Dread, I got super duper excited because I love Metroid. However, my first hour or so with the game wasn't quite what I expected. Obviously, going to new areas, blowing through the doors, shooting through the doors, opening doors. That's all well and good. That's classic Metroid. It looks nice, everything's cool. But one key component that I am super excited about that is totally different than anything I've seen in a Metroid game before, that I can recall, is being chased by the Emmy bots. Now, the story of Metroid Dread is pretty simple. The Metroids and the X-Parasites, they're supposedly extinct. There is a broadcast from this planet called ZDR that shows an X-Parasite still alive in the wild. A batch of these Emmy droids were sent to kind of take care of it and figure things out, but whenever we get to ZDR, after we haven't heard from these Emmy bots, Samus has to go digging, to which she's chased by one, immediately. Now, I died, almost immediately. It caught me, it killed me. Normally, when that would happen, you would have to go back, whenever you would die in a Metroid game, you would have to go back to your last saved position. You didn't have to do that in this one. There's, automatic save points from whenever you encounter an Emmy or an Emmy zone, and if the Emmy catches you and kills you, it'll just send you back to that point. It won't send you back to the save state, which I really think is cool because it's so easy to get caught by an Emmy. And while you can deflect an Emmy attack, it's really hard to do so and to time it correctly. So I like that there's another layer of checkpoints, aside from the save room that we all have come to know and love. That being said, does it kind of take away from the Metroid-y feeling? A little bit for me, mostly because Metroid has always kind of been a very lonely experience. Samus kind of wandering through the halls of God knows where, taking care of business. One reason why a lot of fans didn't like Metroid Other M was because that it wasn't just her doing that thing that she had always been doing. She was surrounded by a team, and they gave her kind of a weird coming-of-age backstory in a way. I mean, not backstory, but kind of showed her journey as how she got to a bounty hunter. And I think that didn't sit well with a lot of people. I didn't love it. I thought Metroid Other M was a fun enough game. The biggest trouble I had with Other M was just the fact that that feeling of loneliness was kind of absent. It wasn't as scary as it could have been. And that's always kind of been a staple in Metroid, is that it's kind of ominous and mysterious as you're wandering through these halls of these places. So to hear, Samus's AI and her ship talking to her, as well as the AI within ZDR talking to her, again, it kind of takes away that lonely feeling in a way. I always appreciated being shown the story rather than being told the story, if that makes sense. And to think that Samus is on the run from these Emmy droids, or these Emmy bots, whatever you want to say, and she doesn't have what she needs to be fully equipped to take on anything after all she's been through at this point, it does kind of make me just go, really? Now, again, it's kind of the standard Metroid formula. You start the game, you have all of your stuff taken away, and you have to, go through the game getting more stuff to where eventually you're just totally OP by the time you get to the end. That's great. I love that. The gameplay feels amazing so far, but it doesn't quite feel like Metroid to me yet, if that makes sense. I'm super excited. I have super high expectations for this game, but it's really hard it is hard for me to be objective. But even stacking it up against today's modern standards, with something like Dead Cells or Hollow Knight or Ori, I find myself, because I've dabbled in all of those, I find myself comparing this game to those games. Even though that the games in this series that preceded Ori and all those other games came first, I find myself directly comparing it to these newer style games. And I have to say, I think it holds up, and I think it does the modernization of Metroid pretty well so far. Now, I know I'm not going to have, I'm not going to be let down. They're trying a lot of new things, which I'm glad. I'm glad they're trying new things in 2021 with Metroid. Like, I never thought we would be getting another Metroid game ever, besides Metroid Prime 4. But still, it does feel just a little different. It kind of feels like, and again, like, there are modern implementations, like being able to parry and stuff like that, like what we saw in the last Metroid game with Samus Returns, stuff like that. That's all well and good, and the modernization is cool, but I think that was what made Metroid cool back then, was it wasn't really trying to keep up with the Joneses in a way. I don't know. I'm not disappointed by any means. I'm more interested than anything, because I think this is going to be a really, really cool game, and I just don't want it to be hard for me to return to older Metroid games after I've played this game. I hope that makes sense. But if you're watching this, you're probably a big Metroid nerd. What do you think of Metroid Dread? What do you think of Metroid in general? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you have to say. Let's talk about it. So, whether you're watching or listening, thank you so much. And before I go, check this out. Well, whatever possessed you to check out any of the content that you saw today, I just want to say thank you so much for doing so. If you check the description down below, you'll see that there's a variety of different projects that I'm associated with. This is Wannabe Critic Productions after all. So, I just wanted to say, if you enjoyed what you saw today, consider giving some of those other projects a chance as well. There's a lot of stuff that I'm a part of that that I do. If you were here for me or for someone else that you saw today, again, just thank you for checking it out, and I hope to see you again. But until next time, I'm Gabriel Fast, and I'll always be the Wannabe Critic.